Apparently, I'm going to be on a roll here tonight with my rants about my church. And it's not just my church. I talk about my church because that's my experience, you know? It's everybody. It's the whole thing. It's the whole state of Christendom in the world, I suppose. The Pope is literally a communist. The Pope is literally a Satanist. Have you seen that picture of the, I don't know what it's called, but it's part of the Vatican. And when you're inside, looking out from the stage, it literally looks exactly like the head of a snake. And they have a statue of Jesus, and he's got a reptile head. And it's like he's standing in the middle of a wave of demons flying through. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen that, but if you Google it, just Google Vatican Jesus reptile head or Vatican snake head. You'll see exactly what I mean. It's unmistakable. It's undeniable. Anyway, so it's 12:44 January. I think it's the 27th, Wednesday, 2021. Okay. So another thing I want to rant about tonight is this notion in my church. I'm sure it could be in your church as well. Is this notion of affordable housing. I was at a meeting because I want to participate in ministry, but it seems like every time I go to participate in ministry, unless it's like music or volunteering, I don't ever have any issue with the music or the volunteering part of it, but if it's like ministry, like helping people, it's like there's always weird stuff going on. So I went to this. Let me rephrase that. It's weird when they bring in people from the outside, like the 501c3's, basically. So they brought in this organization. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's like Pinellas Hope, or it's something where they help people get to buy houses or to get into a house or to get off to stop being homeless, something along those lines. But anyway, the lady was a very nice lady. And these people are very nice people. They don't know. They don't know. Maybe I don't know. I mean, I'm just sharing my thoughts. I'm not claiming to have any special knowledge, but these are my thoughts. So, anyway, she was a very nice lady, and she asked the question. They do this sometimes. They ask these tricky questions because it gets people thinking and makes them feel smart when people don't know the answers, all this kind of stuff. And it also establishes them as some kind of an authority because they're asking a question that nobody knows the answer to. It's like, oh, I guess she knows a lot about this, So she said, why are people homeless? Well, I'm like, well, mental health. That's what I think. I still think that. But I've suffered mental health issues. So, it's not like, to me, to say somebody's having mental health issues, it's not like a stigma. It's not like I look down on you. Everybody has mental health issues, or almost everybody, from time to time. Everybody gets depressed. Everybody has anxiety. Everybody has, sometimes people have paranoia. Everybody has it because everybody has suffered some kind of trauma in their life. And that's where mental health comes from, or maybe some people would argue it comes from chemical. I don't really focus on that too much. I focus more on the trauma, like your mom or your dad traumatized you emotionally, psychologically, sometimes physically. Physical trauma is the whole ball, right? Physical trauma is psychological, emotional, and physical all rolled together, But, in my personal experience, the people that I had exposure to, they didn't suffer too much physical abuse. That's tragic if someone does, and very, very sad. So in my own personal experience, I come across people that, suffer more like, just the sort of, for lack of a better word, the normal psychological and emotional abuse. Parents try to do the best they can. Things get stressful. People say things and do things that they later need to apologize for, and they can apologize, but it was still traumatic. It was still an event that had an impact on a person's emotional and psychological development. So, just because you apologize, it doesn't mean everything's okay. But, so, it's not like a stigma to say that you, in my mind, to say that you have some kind of mental health issue. I mean, like I said, it's like a cold or a flu. I mean, pretty much everybody does, So, you know, and I'm kind of like in my family, I'm kind of known for picking up homeless people and talking to them and hearing what their story is. And, I talk to homeless people like a lot, and I would strongly encourage it as long as you feel safe. And I don't mean you have a 100% absence of risk, because you're never 100% risk free. So yeah, you do have to take some risk, but I'm just saying you have to have a reasonable level of comfort, and if you're the type of person that's scared of everything constantly except your own known environment, then okay, that's an issue too, right? I mean, you gotta get out of that. That's no good. I mean, that's just no good. I mean, you can't have personal development if you're scared of everything outside of your little bubble, So I mean, but what I'm saying is, so there's got to be a balance between safety and risk, and it's like you got to get outside your bubble, but at the same time, you don't want to put yourself too far out there. Like I kind of look at it like, is there an objective reason for me to be afraid right now? Okay, and if there's not, even if I feel afraid, then I might go with it, because feelings can be very misleading. Sometimes there can be no objective, but you have a strong feeling, and the strength of the feeling overweighs the absence of an objective reason. So you go with the feeling. I mean, but I'm just saying in general, if there's no objective reason to be afraid, then unless your feelings are really like extraordinarily strong, then just kind of ignore your feelings and and take a few steps in the direction of what your fear is telling you not to, where your fear is telling you not to go, and then reassess after taking a few steps, But anyway, I'll talk to homeless people. Yeah, and it's mental health. These people have suffered trauma in their lives. I mean, I'd say in my experience, like 10 out of 10 times. I mean, they have suffered trauma, and it's not their fault, Your mom or your dad abuses you. Somebody does something. It's not your mom or dad. Somebody does something bad to you or to your loved ones or something. I mean, it's traumatic, So it would be normal to expect somebody like that to suffer psychologically and emotionally, and possibly even suffer to the point that they can no longer function at the level that a person needs to function at to have a home or an apartment, So to me, it's mental health, period, But no, this lady acted. She's, like I said, she's a very sweet lady, and she's just doing what she's trained to do, But she acted like she was happy to get a bunch of quote unquote wrong answers, so she could dazzle us with her quote unquote right answer. And the right answer was supposedly that there's no affordable housing in Pinellas County. And I'm like, it didn't really sound like kosher to me at the time, but it's like one of those politically correct, supposed morally superior answers, like we're morally inferior because we impugned the character of other people unnecessarily, and they've got the right answer. That's just like a totally innocuous explanation. No, it's like no, it's not. No, like I said, it didn't sound right at the time, but I try not to have knee-jerk reactions to things, so I just sat there and sort of, okay, I have to think about that. And I've been thinking about it for years, and it's like the more I think about it, the more nonsensical it becomes. It's like, that's crazy. I mean, everywhere I go in Pinellas County, there's people living in houses. I'm living in a house. I'm living in an apartment. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. No affordable housing. Who's living in all these houses and apartments? They're all occupied. Of course they're affordable. If they weren't affordable, nobody would be living in them. It's just, it's nonsensical. It's this institution speak, this politically correct nonsense is just crazy. I mean, it's like intellectual deconstruction. It's like they're trying to deconstruct society intellectually, or deconstruct the basic intelligence of people, which makes sense. I mean, if you want to rule people, degrade them, make them think poorly of themselves, give them reasons to think poorly of themselves, degrade them, and then tell them it's their fault, So like I said, these people are just doing what they're trained to do. They're trained in college to do this. They're trained by their foundation heads or whoever hires them, to do this. I mean, and they think they're doing the right thing. Okay, that is critical for a liar to believe his own or her own lies. It's critical. You can't be a good liar unless you're a sociopath, and there's not very many of those in the world, thank goodness. It's critical to have mass deception for the people who are doing the deceiving at the grassroots level. At that level, okay, higher levels, a different story, but at the level of the grassroots, it is absolutely critical that those people believe the lies that they're telling, and that and they drink their own Kool-Aid, they eat their own dog food, whatever metaphor you want to use. It's critical, and they'll do it too because they get a paycheck, so they have a lot of incentive to believe the lies that they are being told to tell. They have a lot of incentive because their belief in those lies is why they get paid. So they have a good human incentive. It's not to impugn their character either. That's just human nature. It's human. That's natural human behavior. And everybody has their level where they will break and compromise their integrity and their ethics in exchange for food and housing and clothing and lifestyle, and not just for themselves but for their loved ones. I mean, everybody has everybody has a level that they'll break, and they will compromise their ethics. And for some people, their level is really low. Some people it's really high. But everybody has a point. So basically, it's an absurdity to suggest that there's no housing, no affordable housing in Pinellas County when you could drive around for 10 days and never see the same house or apartment twice, and they would be occupied with people who are able to afford. So it's like an oxymoron. There's no affordable housing in Pinellas County. It's not oxymoron, but it's like a nonsensical, drooling pile of gibberish. I mean, it's just nonsensical. It's unintelligent. It's stupid. Whatever word you want to say, it's stupid on its face. It's like gaslighting. It's gaslighting. It's a form of gaslighting. And if you don't know what gaslighting is, then look it up, because I don't feel like talking about that right now. But so there's that, and that was like I said, Pinellas Hope or something like that. And then there's this organization called F.A.S.T, Faith and Action Stronger Together. This is another one of those 501c3's. I swear this is a George Soros organization. I swear. I don't know that for a fact, and I don't have the skills or the time or even the interest to start unwinding where all their funding comes from, and who owns the foundation, and who owns the foundation that owns the foundation, and who owns it, who funds it, and they don't own it, but they fund it, and who's in affiliation, and blah, 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 blah. You follow it up 50 steps, and you get the Open Society Foundation, which is George Soros, But I swear, they have to be George Soros, because they're social justice, and that's like George Soros buzzwords, So just real quick, hopefully, we'll see. The first F.A.S.T function that I went to a few years ago, it was at Tropicana Field, and there were so many people there. It was like, wow, it must have been like 2,000. I'm not very good at estimating crowd size, but there were so many. It must have been like 2,000 people there, And, it's the home of the Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays, baseball, Major League Baseball team. So it's big, They just had a little tiny sectioned off, but I mean, the thing holds like 50,000 people or something. So I mean, there was a lot of people there, and it was just weird, man. I mean, it was weird. This guy gets up there, and he starts. There was a panel of people on the stage, and this guy gets up there. He was a middle-aged black man. Starts harassing this middle-aged white woman who was also on stage. They're like on the board together of this thing, I think. Or they were city council people, I'm not sure. They were some kind of officials. And he starts harassing her in front of 2,000 people because she didn't approve purchase of a software program that is used in the schools to resolve conflict that has the risk, or is perceived to have the risk to escalate into acts of violence or public safety or something like that. And he was trying to hammer her and get her to commit in front of 2,000 people to buying the software package for the entire county. Okay, so obviously a situation of millions and millions of dollars, and it just dragged on, and she was like very like timid and like acting embarrassed, and she's like, well, I sent you an email, and I said I can't commit at this point in time. And he was just like, he was like a preacher, how like a black preacher, how they just get really like dramatic and loud, and he just kept getting more dramatic and more loud. And she's like, I don't know what you want me to do sitting at, she didn't say this, but she did say the part about the email, but she didn't say this, but this is her attitude was like, I don't know what you want me to do right here in front of, I can't, she was like dumbfounded, and it was not just me, because at that point in time, like everybody got up and just sort of spontaneously left. The thing wasn't over, but like hundreds of people just spontaneously got up and I sort of saw it coming, and I'm like, ugh, okay, I've had enough of this. So I was like one of the first people. I'm kind of like an empath or an intuitive. I sort of see things coming before other people see them coming, but I'm like, okay, no, this is whatever this is, it's not good. So I got up and left, or started to get up and left, and then I turned around, there's like 800 people. I don't know if they were following me or if they were having the same thoughts, and I just kind of broke the ice that they also wanted to leave, but they didn't think that they should. But then when they saw, I don't know, but I just turned around, there's like 800 people following. Everybody left. And then I was talking to this guy and this girl out there outside. Really nice people. It was so odd because this guy was like 6'7", and this girl was like, she was like 5'2". They were like the oddest couple. But he reminded me of that guy who played Aquaman. What's his name? Jason. Dang it, I can't remember his name, but you know what I'm talking about. He was a really good-looking guy, a really tall guy, a really good-looking guy, and she was a nice-looking lady. And they were very, like, you could tell they were very close and very warm. And they were super nice people. And we were talking about it, and they were totally, like, in synchronicity with me. They totally understood, So that was my first exposure to FAST. And it's really interesting. It's really funny because then FAST came to our church, right? And they do this stuff with, oh my gosh, this is so weird, man. This is so weird. So they had these people in my church get up in this little FAST meeting at my church, and I guess they decided to go from like being a big giant function to being lots of little functions, Anyway, so it was like the room was pretty crowded. It was pretty packed out, probably like 20 or 30 people, between 20 and 30 people. And then people from my church got up there and started giving these little monologues, about FAST, and it's all based in statistics, man. And I work in numbers all day long, every day. And as soon as I start hearing people quoting statistics, I'm just like, oh God, here we go again, because you can go on Amazon, you can find the book How to Lie with Statistics. There's liars love statistics. Okay, liars love statistics. There's YouTube videos about how to lie with statistics. Statistics, as soon as you hear somebody quoting statistics, and they're like using statistics as the foundation of their argument, it's like, okay, they're probably lying. There's like a 95% chance they're lying. There's some distortion going on. But the thing of it is the people at my church, the well-known people that I know very well, some very nice people, they sounded so authoritative and so knowledgeable, and I was like, wow, these people have really been working with this FAST organization for a long time. They're doing really good, And so it was kind of impressive, to be honest with you. But then here's what happened. This is where it gets so weird. The wife of one of our pastors gets up there, and very nice lady, very sweet lady. She might be the only person in the church that has any integrity. I don't know. I don't know. Like real integrity, like proactive integrity. I think everybody's like basically honest, but like, you'll see what I mean in a minute. But so she gets up there and she just says, when FAST asks you to speak, they give you this thing to read. So I'm going to read this to you. I just want to stay on schedule, but I just want to say this first real fast. So she said something real fast, and then she did her thing. And her thing sounded very similar to everybody else. It was all based on statistics and, less teens arrested this in the past quarter and blah. All these very impressive, like CNN, sounding like statistical quotes. And it's like, okay, so it was like, it was the same thing. It's like, well, that's weird. I thought all those people were speaking from their hearts, like I thought they were speaking up with their personal knowledge, but it turns out they're just reading something that this organization gave them to read. That's like, I don't know, man, that's just kind of weird. And I'm like kind of insecure. Like when I have negative thoughts, I second guess. I mean, I've spent my whole life second guessing myself. I just second guess myself. I'm like, whatever, man. I'm missing something or whatever. These thoughts I'm having, they're probably not valid, and I'm just like, okay. So I just stuck around. I mean, I don't know. I just stuck around. So they had this thing in this other room. We were supposed to go. We're supposed to sign up for something, and so I'm like the only person in there, right? And I'm going around, I'm talking to the young lady that's running this meeting, and I'm like, okay, so what do we hear? Blah, blah, blah. And she goes, and she said, yeah, I don't know. She said, yeah, everybody else was supposed to come in here. And I look out, everybody was leaving. And I'm like, so this is what happened at the Tropicana field. The exact same thing happened. Something awkward from the top happened. And everybody got the same weird vibe that I got, right? And they left. But I'm second guessing myself. I'm like, well, this weird vibe is probably just like some random thing. I'm probably not really understanding something or whatever. I mean, it was my first FAST meeting, so I'm, except for the Tropicana Field thing, which was like 2 or 3 years prior. So, I'm thinking, I probably just misunderstood or whatever. So, but it's like, no, everybody got the same weird vibe. It's like, you don't send a bunch of people up there to read this thing, and they read it like real dramatic. Like they freaking wrote it or something. Like they did the research or like they calculated all the numbers and themselves and now they're up at, no, they were like, it was like real dramatic. It's just like weird, man. So here's the bottom line, man. It's like, you know what? If you want to be a church, be a church. If you want to help people find a house, find somebody who needs a house and get them a house. If you want to do something in the community with the youth, and do something, but don't call in these 501c3 organizations, man. That's not the program. That's not the program. I mean, could you imagine if Jesus came down from heaven? He's like, okay, guys, we're going to form synergistic relationships with the Roman benevolent organizations, and we're gonna expand our influence in the community and build community relationships. It's like, that's not the model Jesus gave for us. Jesus went out and physically touched people himself, personally, the Son of God, the creator of the earth. I mean, could you imagine if Jesus wanted to create a 501c3? It could be staffed by angels, literal angels, 100 billion angels, whatever. Affordable Housing Hotline, I'm Archangel Michael, whatever his name is. I mean, and I'm about to run out of time here, so I have to stop. It could be amazing, right? But that's not the model. And these 501c3s, they're all corrupt. Walmart and Amazon and Target, they set the standard for retail. Well, Bill Gates, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Clinton Foundation, they set the standard for 501c3s, man. They're all corrupt. I mean, they are 1,000 times more corrupt than we can even begin to imagine. J. Paul Getty established the precedent back in the day. I mean, that's how he became a billionaire, was by keeping all of his money in a nonprofit. So anyway, this is my other rant for tonight. I just wanted to talk about this. I'm running out of time, so I've got to go really fast. I hope you liked something here. I hope you found it informative and or interesting. God bless you. Thank you for watching. Good night.